We'll do a review of Likutei Sichas in Chelek Tezvav, the first sicha of the Parshas Vayishalch. This is a Rashi sicha, and the Rebbe discusses here the Yaakov's preparation. Brings down from the Rashi here, asks many questions in the Pasha to Pshat, the way in the Rashi appears, and it brings down some of them Forshim, how they explain the Rashi, and the Rebbe shows that Rashi actually means something different. Rashi's, in the meantime, the Rebbe also explains that the pasuk talks about splitting the people by Yachatz, that Yaakov split the people into two camps, and he said that if the Esau will come to one camp and smite it, the other one will be saved. The other one will escape. And Rashi uses Loshen al Korchai for sure, and the Rebbe asks, how was it so sure? The Rebbe explains basically that when Yaakov split the people from the animals, from the gifts that he sent, and Hashem had promised Avram, Yaakov, that he will protect him. So that is why Yaakov, the first thing that Yaakov did was he split the two camps, and that way he can be assured that Yaakov is not going to be able to hurt the camp, the Machna Nishar, the non-animal, the human, the people. Yaakov's family won't be able to hurt them. So, and that's why the Rebbe explains why Yaakov, the first thing, instead of starting to daven, first thing is to split the camp into two different parts. Because the only way he can daven and ask for additional help is by separating the family from the rest of the gift and the rest of his belongings, because it's not necessarily that the other things are going to be saved, but his family knows they're going to be saved. That's why he started. And many other details, the Rebbe explains that his hiskin prepared himself to various different emotional contradictions, level of kindness and level of war. This were all in level of prayer, and he had to overcome all the challenges and to take on his brother Esau, hopefully be able to proceed with his life. So let's look inside. Aleph. In Posik, Vayomerim Yovei Esau v'lamachna achas v'yiko, the verse says that Yaakov said, if Esau will come to one of the camps and smite it, so the camp that is left over, that won't be smitten, will escape, will be the flater. So Rashi bases himself in the second opening of the pasuk, the second interpretation, second quote of the pasuk, of the verter, on the words the camp that is left over will escape. On his mefarish, and he explains al karchay, against Esau's will, they will escape. Because I will wage war with them. So, and then on the noch is there mamshich weiter. Rashi continues that he has prepared himself. Yaakov prepared himself for three items: for a gift, for prayer, for war, as Rashi brings down to the common Siv Gimel, as later on in Siv Gimel. So, what's bothering Rashi over here that Rashi has to explain altogether? Because the wording over here seems a little difficult, because it says v'hoya. Hoya means it will be. The machana hanisha will be for an escape. They'll be able to escape, run away. But v'hoya represents it will happen. I know that's a certainty. So in the pasuk, it's shver, because even though you split, so you might have a better chance. because now while one is waging war, one is engaged, the other one can escape, but it's still, there's no guarantee. Why does it say v'hoya? So one could maybe translate the word v'hoya as not certain, and therefore Rashi is coming to tell us that v'hoya means no, you can certainly be because he'll wage war. So therefore v'hoya means the literal, the simple meaning that for sure. And how is he sure? Because he'll wage war. But the Rebbe's question is going to be, but that itself is not, if you wage war, you're guaranteed that the other one will escape. So let's look inside. Those was Rashi darvzich b'chlal obstel and diverted. This that Rashi altogether needs to stop on these words from Pasuk of the verse, and explain them. Was l'chayre is the pirush from Pasuk moving bepashtus, because without Rashi, the meaning of the verse can simply be understood as durch zu teilen almen in zwei machnes, by dividing everybody into two camps, is a feel an Esav will befallen, even if Esav will attack. Und einem and ein machne, he'll be able to conquer one camp, but the zweite machne cannot leifen. So the second camp, the second group will be able to escape. So why does Rashi have to explain? Is before Rashi zogen, as the commentaries of Rashi say, what's difficult is v'hoya. Hoya means it will be. What's his mashma? That it appears as a machna nishar, but zicher zayin liflater, that the leftover camp will certainly be to an escape. But if them come and fragen, you can ask them this. Even if you are going to split everyone into two camps, is noch nicht den ganzen sicher, so you can't be entirely sure as the zweite machane, that the second camp, but sich gewiss Ratman will certainly be able to save itself. It's only as though it's git a bessere Möglichkeit, this gives a better chance for the Ratzolov in the zweite machane for the saving of the second camp if you split it into two. But why is v'hoya for sure? So to fit this, there's a possibility, there's a better chance. Instead of v'hoya will be aloshen was meist of ulai. Should be a language which so perhaps if we split it, perhaps we will be able to escape. Why does the pasuk says v'hoya? This is Rashi's problem. So Rashi answers this as the loshen v'hoya. Now, what is the language v'hoya? Main tak al korche. That v'hoya means actually against his will for sure. Unlike the Even Ezra and other commentators will want to interpret as v'hoya do is pirushe. That here v'hoya means ulayiyah. That v'hoya means perhaps it will be to an escape. But not, Rashi says no. Rashi disagrees. Rashi says al korcha. As is adover barur, that this is for sure as the machne vet zayin lifleito, that this camp will be for an escape. It will be able to save itself. Und the sicherheit is, what is the certainty? Because I will wage war with him. I'm not going to allow for Esav to conquer also the second camp. So this is what Rashi is trying to tell us over here. But the question is, how do we really know that even if you're going to fight, that you're going to for sure win? Why the how is V'hoya? Their pirush is over not moving. This interpretation is not understood. Aleph, number one. Mitvos gider elochem imay. How does this waging war with him, Avados Gemura, give it to you a certainty, a definite, you're completely certain as the zweite machne wird sein lefleita, v'hoyo, that it will be lefleita, that it will be to an escape. Afilo if the kavone is, even if his intention is, as in the zeit von Yaakov's Milchama mit Esav, when Yaakov will be engaged in war with Esav for the erste machne, for the first camp, the zweite machne sich kennen Ratwe durch Antleufen. So the second camp will be able to save itself and escape, even if that's the intention, is noch als nicht versichert die Pleite. But that escape isn't guaranteed for the zweite Machne. The second camp is not guaranteed. She's not. The only thing is, was noch ein Zetteln, the Shtei Machnes, when you split it into two camps, get der Lochem Imoy. So then when you wage war with Esav, and you wage war, it's never going to stay on the mountain. Get der Lochem noch bessere Gelegenheit. It gives a better opportunity than just splitting it and escaping, but this is why wage war. Paratzolo Plata to a savior and for an escape, Kenal as mentioned before. But how could you say Vahoya? That still doesn't guarantee. If Rashi is trying to say, how's Vahoya guaranteed? Base, the number two is, why is it important over here to say, we're not talking about whether Esav wants or doesn't want. We're trying to say, for sure they'll escape because I'll fight them. So why is Rashi saying against his will I'll fight? What is there al korchay? What does it mean against his will? And why is different? Does it make the emphasis as al korchay that this is against neged ritzayin from Esav, that this is against Esav's wishes? The only thing that it's important is to emphasize as durch elochem imay, by the way, waging war with him. But the zweite Machane sicha gerettet werden. The second camp will for surely be saved. That's all really what we're trying to say over here. So whether Esav likes it or not is not important. Just say elochem imay, and then without the bal korchay, just to wage war, so they have a better chance to escape. We'll see in the Rebbe's answer. All this will be understood what the al korchay is over here. The Ramban is masbir. The Ramban explains the zicherkeit from Yaakov. He says Yaakov was certain because he knew that he wasn't, all of his seed were not going to fall in the hands of Esav. But the pasuk Rashi says it's not based on Hashem's promise to him, but Rashi says it's because he's going to wage war with him. The Rambam is masbir at the zicherkeit from Yaakov, that Yaakov's certainty is given to leave them was because of this. Was Yaakov Yedei she'ezar and if we had Esav, he knew that all of his seed will not fall in the hands of Esav. So he knew that one would be saved. But in current Rashi, we can't say that was a certainty. Damut is divados, then his certainty. It's a different reason. He says, how do I know? Instead of saying Kilochem Imay, he should have said, because of the promise. He knew that it will need mitten tam Kilochem Imay. Rashi explains and is specific in his commentary. The reason why Yaakov is going to escape, the Machna is going to escape because of the war that he's waging with them, not because some other promise from them. Base. Never says in base that possibly to say that it's actually not so simple, but the al korchay is the explanation of Vahoya. Vahoya, that it will be, meaning I will definitely fight it. Look inside. L'choyre, what we can we can answer one of the questions, one with the other, at least in a very pressed way. We could have said, when Rashi says al korchay, meint nicht Rashi zu sagen, Rashi does not mean to say, as the plate of it sein bevados, that Vahoya, how do I know that he's going to run for sure because I'll wage war? But there is masbir, their oifun from their plate. Vahoya, how is it going to escape? As if it's zayin al korchay, the escape is going to be in a way of Vahoya that against his will, by the lochem imay, I'm going to wage war with him. If he's there, So if this was the meaning, is noisef ala ikir as al korchach is doch vados. The main thing is we still as before. How do you al korchach means for sure. So how does this? How is this sure? The shaila of them gufa from Vanant is the heichocha from posik. The v'shuta shall mikra as lochem imay. So how do we know that v'hoya for sure I will wage war? How do we know that v'hoya is a reference to the war? If the reference of v'hoya is for Plato, that because how am I sure that he's going to escape? Is because I'll wage war with him. Okay, so then that's an explanation. That's how we know. How are you going to be sure, Plato? But if the v'hoya is not saying that he's sure going to escape, but v'hoya means for sure I will fight him. Where is the v'hoya? Where is there? Who says? How do we have a pshat v'hoya that it's going to fight him? We understand based on the above as Rashi's kavana b'pirusha. The Rashi's intention with his commentary is to madgish zayin de vados. That Rashi wants to say for sure for a machna lifleita that the camp will be lifleita. That's v'hoya. Is a medaik a mechir from loshen v'hoya. So then Rashi learns out and he proves that nine v'hoya. But state in posik is kniska leil that mentioned before. So it says v'hoya means for sure. And then he's saying, so it says that he will escape. That says in the posik. And Rashi has to explain how is he Elochem Imay? Elochem Imay is a normaz v'den tam parvos is not. He's only explaining. How do we know for sure you're going to win? You say, oh, are you going to escape? Answer is Elochem Imay. Hashem Glifia now, but according to this interpretation, when I say now is Adrab. So Rashi bikirois and sumiparish umechadei zayin. So Rashi mainly is not trying to explain how do we know it's going to be inflated for sure. Because it doesn't mean the voya for sure in it. Rashi is saying, V'hoya, I will fight him. And then he'll for sure have to lead him go, but V'hoya means I'll fight him. So how do we see in the Pasuk that V'hoya means that he's going to fight him? So therefore, we're back to the original questions that we have. Why does Rashi explain that V'hoya, if V'hoya means sure, how does it explain that? I'm going to wage war with him. How do you know that you're for sure going to wait? How does this all answer what the pasuk says V'hoya over there that for sure later? You wage war, but maybe the war is not. You're not going to win the war. Gimel. Now the Rebbe asks the next part of Rashi. Weiter is Rashi. And we're going to ask several questions there too. Why does Rashi mamshich in the Dibra Maschal now? It's in the same Rashi, the same opening quote from the verse, and Rashi continues. And Rashi says, "Hiskin atzmei l'shloishet dvorim." He prepared himself for three matters: l'doiron, l'tfilah, milchama, for a gift and for prayer and for war. Rashi brings a proof to everything from the pasuk. L'doiron for the gift. So, the mincha passed in front of him. Litfila, what do we know that he went prepared for prayer? He davened to the Eibishter. And then Lamilchama for war, because he says, which is the pasuk over here, the camp that will be left over will be for escape. So the Rebbe is going to ask again a bunch of questions on this Rashi. He's going to move on. So, first of all, why does Rashi have to bring down? We're talking about the pasuk by Mechanishal. Why are we talking about all the other things? Allah. For post bring Rashi do. Why does Rashi bring here Allah Shloishat Vorim? All of the three things based is Zayin Pirush Letter Nor wegen Zayin Gridla Zayin Milchama. This commentary is only talking about getting ready for war. That's what really he was doing over here. I'm going to make war with him. So why do we have to bring down the other things that he prepared himself? The fact that he gave a gift, that he prepared himself for a gift and for davening, based on the weiter psukim. You know this from later on, not this pasuk. Later on the pasuk. Und dort steht es beim Feirish. Rashi bringt Zei Arab. And over there it says clearly, as Rashi quotes over there, Vatavara Mincha Alpanov, and Tfilah, Lekei Avi Avram. It says later on. So why did Rashi have to B'chlal bring attention to the other parts that he was doing when we're talking about the war over here that he was preparing against Esau? Base, number 2. Intim Tzaloimar is in a posuk with Retzich as Yaakov is going great gain of Mechama. You're going to say, you're going to find the reason that when we're talking Yaakov Mechama, it's important to know, is Negei Avison, it's important to know, Ados is nicht der einzige Mittel, that wasn't the only means, und afile nicht der erste Mittel war Schola, this wasn't the first and the opening means, but Adrabe, it's important to tell you, Frier seinen Deuren und Tfilah. There's a gift, and Tfilah only afterwards he gave the war, as Rashi brings it up. Is es aber nicht verstandig, für was verbindet es? So why does Rashi connect it und als Hemshech zu sein Pirush? So why does it follow his commentary? Al korche kelochem. I'm going to wage war with him. Rashi wants to tell you that this wasn't the only means right in the beginning, but Rashi doesn't have to make it as a follow-up. It seems like this whole Rashi is one continuation. Gimel. Nachbar. Furthermore, even for whatever reason, Rashi wants Rashi wants to specify specifically that together with preparing himself for war. He also prepared himself for a gift for davening, was time of boy canal, which we need. Reason why do we need to know this? That he prepared himself for everything over here. Because they do say right on the post, so we know that he did that. So you can ask on the other hand. So why does he have to mention that last part also for war? So he starts off the Rashi. Which war? So he could have said Rashi as his that he also prepared himself for tefillah. Why mention again Doir and Tefillah in the Mulcham? The Ram learned. So the Rabbi Yom Mizrahi, he learns what is the flow of Rashi's pirush over here to Allah? Is Rashi also to bring in pirush? Rashi's intentions is to bring proof to his commentary. How does Rashi know that it means against his will because I'll wage war? How do we know this, that he's going to wage war? Bald Razal Zogan Aziz cannot not repeating himself. He's bringing the rabbi's proof. Bald they say as Hiskin Asm the Shleishat Dvorim. Und dem Prat as Hiskin Asm the Milchama gefindt man it in Pasuk Mefeirish that he prepared for war. We don't find it specifically. As we find as it's connected to Doiren and Tefillah, to the gift and the davening. The Meilam was menzogun, therefore we have to say as the Verter Voya Machanish Lefleita. Rashi brings down the camp that will be left, will be escaped. Meidri Yamacham was the Muhammad. And Rashi brings it because there's some sages say so, and that's evidence for his pirush. But Rashi Zoktobenit as his kin atzmechul as a chazal medrash. Rashi doesn't say that. The medrash says that. Adrab. Rashi doesn't say that, I have a proof because since the Medrash says that there was 3 things, and so therefore, and doesn't say Machna Nishar, has to therefore mean the Muhammad. Adra. Pashtus Lashon Rashi, the simple language Rashi is as Nochdem. As a after we know that we'll wage war with him, which is Rashi's commentary. So then you know, according to the simple pshat of the pasuk, as hiskin that he prepared himself also for war. So after, so it's not like from the hiskin atzma we know that Elochim Imay we learn from the pasuk. Once we know that, is hiskin atzma l'shlosh dvorim. Dalet, the Rebbe asks further in the order of the preparation, doesn't fit the order from the psukim, and also the language of hiskin. Look inside. In the hiskin v'chulo, also the flow in his commentary hiskin v'chulo aleph. They say that from the shlosh dvorim v'Rashi rechen ze b'pirushay. What is the order of these three things as Rashi counts them in his commentary? Is l'doira and l'tfilo l'milchama, is a gift to prayer and for war. Is behepach from the Seder hapsukim b'charash b'rein b'klach l'raya, that is opposite than the order of the verse as Rashi brings the evidence. But taver abin chal ponov l'doira, that the gift passed over him as a gift. State noch dem posik elkei Avraham, which is l'tfilo. It says after the pasuk Elkev L'Tfilah. So Rashi starts with the Doira. This comes after. So Tfilah comes after the pasuk Muhammad. Rashi is Shana for Zer Seder in Torah. Rashi changes the order the way it's in the Torah. Base and number two, in Medrash gefinden euch the rise for the psukim. Rashi bring the pirushik now. Besides these proofs that Rashi brings from these verses, Rayas from other psukim. They bring evidence from other psukim, like Tfilah Hatzileni no miyadochi. Save my brother Ledoiren, Marta Lavdechol Yaakov Mincha Yishlucha. Say Avchayag Yishlucha. The Muhammad Vayosim is Hashvachas v'Goymer v'Ovel Fneim. He plays the shvachas and he went ahead of them. So different psukim. Rashi doesn't say those psukim. Those psukim would be more in the order. The Tfilah, Hatzileni, no. And then the Muhammad comes last over there by Yosef Hashem. But Mokamachim Medrashim, you find in the Raya of Doiron Diksiv, by Yikach Men Abba Yode Mincha, and the Muhammad Diksiv Yachas Amasher Ite. So, other psukim, but Lifizei is not move on in Pirish Rashi. It's not understood Rashi. Mimanushach. If Rashi will bring it from the psukim, if Rashi wants to bring from the verses, as is Mefurish v'Yaakov adin yonim geton bepoil, how Yaakov did these actual that he took it, that he did it. Need the psukim v'seretzach v'egin rachon v'agdom today. Not those verses which talk about the preparation. He doesn't bring where he prepared, but he actually gave it. That's what I was bringing. This mashma from them was the Ershter Ayev Doiren. First proof that Rashi brings for the gift is not that what he wanted to give, but where he actually it went before him. And it brings for the Tavar Mechapon, or not from the Friedike Psukim, doesn't bring the earlier Psukim on the Vayikman Abab Yod Ben Chalei, that he took but it's the actually giving, when he's actually giving, that's what over there, the previous Psukim talking about how he prepared, he set up the mincha. That's why the Rashi chose the proof from Matabra mincha, where the mincha takes place, that he was given the poil. So if that is the reason why Rashi brings on Doiren, so I'm praying Muhammad bringing the psukim with the Teichen Advorim is the lepoil. He should have bring those psukim from where the contents of those, the matter is the actuality. So he should have brought save me. That's the poil mamash, save me from Esau, instead of bringing Elkei Avraham. from Vayosim es hashvachos v'avel lifneim, which is actually we actually went before them. Rashi touched or Rashi says, what does it mean avel lifneim? If he's going to come wage war, wage war in the beginning. Why doesn't Rashi bring down that pasuk first, that as proof for the war? It would be also unit. Rashi would bring down for ascholos atfila lekeya be'avrom. He brings from the Kev Avrom. Unit von Yaakov's dibur boya machne. Von man lernt rois. As hat gesagt, that there is great Eif Milchama. So he's bringing should have brought we're actually going to wage war. Al Keyavi Avram, that's what Rashi brings, versus bringing the Pasuk Hatzileni. And also, Rashi brings the Pasuk Vayamachne. So we learn out Azer Hot Yizok, Azer Great of Milchama, and not V'Havar Lifneim, which is actually Milchama. Rashi will bring it. So on the other hand, so Rashi wants to bring the Doiren like he's giving the gift not from where he prepared. So why doesn't he bring it by tefillah and by word where he actually prayed for Hatzileni and wait out for war? If on the other hand, like Rashi will bring it, need the Maisi Bepoil. Rashi doesn't want to bring down what happened. Nor Hiskin he prepared himself for the three things. By Doiren gedacht bringing the Friedrich Poskin. So by Doiren, he should have brought, instead of bringing he could have brought down. Instead of saying that the Goyim Vayaver Lefonov that the Doiren was before. Gimel, the Baal Rashi hat schon gesagt, as der Posik, Boya mach nicht ins Neito meint Lochem imay. Rashi already said it means to wage war with him. Was darf noch mal Luistaichi besoy Perushay? So why does he have to again bring it out and verbalize and articulate this at the end of the prison? And the Rav Muhammad is from them posting by from this posting that the camels will escape. He already said this. This is the opening the Rashi. And number 4, Dalet Diuk Haloshin, the specific language that Rashi uses here is that Hiskin nit that he prepared himself, not Loshin Hiskin. So the Rebbe will explain now in Osei all these questions that this was actually, why would Yaakov start with splitting the people before davening to Hashem? That doesn't seem to be the right order. And Rashi explains that this was the splitting was why as a preparation to this davening, because once it splits, then the davening is going to help. But this splitting was not the act of war yet. Let's look inside. Hey, the explanation of the above. From Pashtus Hemshech Hapsukim, from the simple flow of the verses, is mashma, it appears as Nochdem is the Malachim Zichum Giken, after the angels return. And they let Yaakov know as Esav is Hoylech Likroscha Barba Meis Yishimai, that Esav is coming towards you with the 400 men that are with him. But Yaakov sich zum allem ersten gegret Milchama. Seems like the first thing he did was prepare for war. By Yachad says Goymer. He split the people. By Yemen Esav Goymer. Esav comes. And then after he did that, hat mispalo gewen. By Yemen Yaakov Lekeyav Avram, then he damned to the Eberste. And then hat angeheben zu great Namen Chal. Then he started prepare a war with Esav. If you look in the Psukim, So by Yeshuva Hamalochim al Yaakov, Meis Ishimoy, Vayir Yaakov Yetz Yachatz Es Om Ashiritoy, Ves Hatzoy Ves Hagamalim, Vayomer Im Yova V'Amachim Nechzor Lefleito. That's the act of Milchama. Then he goes out on and he says, starts davening, so for Milchama, and then later on he goes down and gives him the gift. After Sheni, he gives him the gift, and he goes on. So that looks the issue. He started preparing a mincha. That's not something which is smooth, this order. As this movement Pasha is obvious, simply. When a Jew hears that another one is coming to wage war with him, he said, so first he davens to Hashem. And only afterwards, you start doing in ways of nature. Prepare yourself for war, etc. How is it possible to say, with Rabbi Yaakov, especially talking about our father Yaakov, as a great first he prepared himself for the war. And then later on he davened. So therefore we have to say, as Yaakov, he also conducted that way. First thing is to do it in the proper way to daven. Okay, come on, as we'll see later on. And those was their posig zogt by Yachatz Es Ha'om. So why does the Torah say and the war is as Hagdama Biur Tzayin Tefillah? This is an introduction. This explains the prayer. So he's really praying, but this is an explanation to the prayer that follows. Head and dig the shmur from the Malachim when he heard the news from the angels, from the messengers. That they are going towards you with the first 400 men with them, with Esav, is Vayira Yaakov. So Yaakov was very scared and was very made uncomfortable. And this brought him to as Vayachatz Es Ha'om, that he split the people, was noch the misverstandig philosopher after splitting the people. Then we understand this prayer. And only the next day afterwards, when Yaakov had gizen, the actual 400 people are actually coming. When it materialized, then he split the children. That is when the war really started. Is Vayachatz Hayelodim. But up till then, it was the tefillah and the vayachatz that took place over here was in preparation for his davening. But the vayachatz as on from them posik, when we're learning over here, vayachatz, that he split the people, is nit der vayachatz der steht weiter. Kiposh obvious, it's not the same splitting we said later on. Here he's created two camps of the people and the animals. Over there is one camp, but he's split within the family. He's split who comes first and later. Though he's given vayachatz as on, he split the people and the sheep and the tzoyim. Und der noch is vayachatz nor von anoshim v'sayilodim. He split within the women and the children who need to stay machnes. It wasn't two camps. Those zokter vayachatz gomel shnei machnes. He made it two camps. With their kavone, and what is the intention? As im yove eso machna achas v'iko v'hoya machna nish lifleito. He says, I know for sure it'll be lifleito. That's why he split it. Und weiter zokter vayachatz el sayilodim alei v'rochel. He split the children lay on Rachel and on the two wives, the maidservants. He placed them first. Immediately, not a second camp, right after them. One camp. Clearly, as when Esau Vayisa Einov. He raised him by is given by Yaris Anoshim V'Sayilodim. He saw the women and he said all of them. He didn't see one camp and another camp. The Allah the Mata, all of the above. There's other Mefarshim that don't learn like that, but the Rebbe said this is pashtus. Nicht as a seine gewähnt zwei besondere Machnes. Wasn't two separate camps. Was the zweite gekent hat läuft and the second could escape. In der Zeit, when Esau befall the erste Machne, When he's going to attack one, the other one is going to escape. But Rashi is mefarish. As Bahoya machnish lefleito, meint al korchen. Kilochem is imay. It means against him because I wage war as Esau is bar korchen nit kenen zeh schlecht. Against his will, he won't be able to do anything. Rashi's mefarish has Bahoya machnish lefleito meint al korchen. Against his will, ki elochem imay, because I'll wage war with him as Esau will bar korchen nit kenen zeh schlecht, that Esau will, against his will, not be able to do anything bad to them. Rebbe explains. When he split into two camps, is machne ha'achas given atzoim v'abokah v'agmalim. So one of the camps was the soin, the cattle, sheep, the cattle, and the camels. We can move an oich from them. Am asher itoy. Also the people that were taking care of the cattle, the sheep. The roim, the shepherds, that belong with them. The machna nishar, who is the leftover camp, is the noshim v'ayilodim. Those are the women and the children. And the others that belong together with the women and children. As it is clear later on by Vayishalch when he passed over the passage of Yabek, crossed the river, it was two separate Vayaver, the family and their family, and then the cattle. No, then Vayachatz. After the Vayachatz kenesh kumen tefillah, then you can come to the prayer because of the promises that you promised me, as Rashi said in Perik Lamed Beis Pasuk Yud, was the far is machne hanishor. That's why v'hoya machne nishor l'fleita b'vados for sure. Masha ein kain soin v'chul of machne achas. As opposed, we're not sure that first camp that soin from the first camp, we're not sure what's going to happen. In order to prove the certainty from Yaakov, as if that he's going to beat Esau, Rashi continues, that he prepared himself for three things. That he prepared himself for everything that he did. Is given in an oifum from hiskin atzmikid will come on. He prepared himself, as Rebbe will explain what the hiskin is, that he prepared himself mentally and emotionally to all the different things that he's going to have to take. So basically, he knows that he is going to win for sure. He's going to wage war and he's going to win for sure. And that's why he's splitting it. And then he'll pray, and then he'll wage the war. What does it mean, preparation? When a person prepares to do something, or the matter or many things, is the bitu haderech harogil deroif. So the expression usually about it is heichin atzmek v'yitzbei, that he prepared himself or similar. Dosh steht ober der Loschen hiskin atzmek. Is kum dos matig sein noch an inyan der achona. This comes to emphasize there was another aspect in the preparation. Heichen means literally, as a great sichtona gewisse pa'ula, you're preparing to do a certain action. How do you prepare yourself? Either through an actual action, or it's preparing yourself, your soul to ton de pa'ula, to do the act, to pray or similarly. So you're preparing yourself. The Loshen Hiskim, Loshen Tikkun, correction, this means more than just preparation. This also is a description, describes how you're preparing. It is misakin atzmai. You fix yourself. He accomplishes by himself the preparedness to do so. In other words, Yaakov had difficulty doing some of the things over here, and he had to prepare himself. He had to do something to himself. Misakin atzmai. Also by Yaakov. Those who are great. The Torah, L'doiren u'letfila milchama. This that he prepared for a gift and prayer and war is given by Vayishalch hiskin atzma. Was in a way that he had to get himself ready. Rashi's mefarish b'negei l'milchama. As far as the war, he had to get ready. Mitzad atzmi v'yirev v'yetzer. He was afraid. He didn't want to get killed. He didn't want to kill anybody else. He needed to work himself through. As far as the gift, he was actually angry. That he needed to do all this to appease him. As Rashi brought down. So he worked on himself to do so. Prayer also, because he already had promise from Hashem. Even though I worry that since from the time you promised me, I've become dirty with sin, and therefore that will cause me to be handed over in the hand of Esau, is his kinatzmai. So he worked himself. So he prayed and he added in his prayer, Heitiv, do good. I will do good. For, as Rashi said, Heitiv b'schuscha, good in your own merit, and Heitiv b'schuscha v'secha, in the merit of your fathers. Apizei is musber the time was Rashi bring the rayas davke from deep psukim. So now we understand why Rashi brings the evidence from davke these psukim that I've asked before. Why not? What is the order there? Only to now, not from other ones. But the rayas fuzei zayin nit benegei that's manachona. The evidence of these psukim are not just that there was preparation, as a great to the drei zachen, that he prepared himself for these three items. Not as the achona to the drei zachen is given in an eifen, but rather that the preparation for these three things was in a way. For hiskin atzma, he had to prepare himself, get himself ready to it. The doiran we see about taber amin chalponov. Says he passed al ponov. Al ponov, as Rashi said, there was despite that he was upset about having to do that. Because the fun was Rashi's mighty from Posuk the Verter al ponov. Why is Rashi quoting not just the taber amin chalponov? He's moving as the Verters and negates to the raya. Those are important to the proof. But from the Posuk and Arois, because from this verse we learn al ponov, afshu shori b'kayis, even though he was in anger that he needed to come on to all this, yet his skin atzme to do it. Litfila, Rashi brings the pasuk Elekei Avi Avram, was the loshon is maramis Elekei Avi that I've haftochas Hakadosh Baruch Hu Avos Kinal to the fathers, even though he thought I'm not deserving his skin atzme, it's for the father's chus. By milchama, similarly by the war. But Rashi brings the rai from pasuk. The Rashi brings the proof from our pasuk. V'hoya mach nishel lefleita. As choch as men veis from frier, and even though we know from before as v'yirev v'yetzechulu canal that he was worried, he was afraid, and he was uncomfortable. Is his skin atzme lemilchama? He still got himself ready, prepared himself milchama. V'bald as v'hoya hamachna nishel lefleita. Since for sure, as is bar navadai, as the machna nishor mus nitzel werden. They has to be saved mitzad avtachas HaKadosh Baruch Hu because of Hashem's promise. So therefore, prepared himself to go for it. Rashi brings the milchama lebesoif. And why does Rashi bring that at the end? That was the most difficult thing that Avraham had, that Yaakov had to prepare himself. But the shloisha dvarim, to remove that from Shema Yarega to Yarega Chedim. So Rashi says that was his skin. The last thing that he needed to do is to prepare. So it's not in the order way it happened, or the way, but it was just emotionally what it took to prepare himself to get himself to do all these things. Ches. As bleibt aber noch nicht verentered, but it still remains unanswered. Favos is Rashi magdim doiron far tefillah. Why does Rashi bring the gift before prayer? The Rebbe pointed out. First he said, "Okay, Avraham," and then Batavra Mincha. Is the bir bazeh? The explanation is As afal pi as lepoil hat dem deiren geschickt noch der tefillah. Even though that the gift he sent after the prayer is aber der teuchen ha'inyan from deiren. What is the idea of deiren lim tzechein beinecha, to find favor in your eyes? Given the erste Zach was Yaakov hat Magdum given zu tun. That was the first thing that he introduced us to do. Noch dann, wenn hat geschickt dem Malachim zu Esav. He did it even in the beginning when he sent Esav. In the beginning of the parsha, he was already giving him the gift. Right in the beginning, when he started out, the pasuk says, and he gives him also already the gifts over there. So he's already started off. So how does this reconcile with having to pray first? The Rebbe explains that point, it wasn't that Tzora yet. He wanted to think maybe he's going to accept the gift and we're not going to have a problem. Only when the didn't help, he still continued to be Esav and fight. That's when the prayer comes first. When there is a time of a trouble, first you daven to Hashem, as Erzol Shikun, send a savior and a salvation above. Rashi says before it was different. You used to say, Kerogil Amarta. Rashi doesn't say Amarta, you said once in the past. You would say this, you thought that Esav is not an enemy. Mer nidvas Yaakov had gebold, as was I noch mer von Achvastam. Yaakov, I didn't want to send him a gift, there's no issue. I want to do a little bit more. To find favor in your eyes. And the far is Vayishalch Yaakov malachim goyim v'eschalaget al dein lim tzechein beinecha, to make it more, find favor, to increase. I am whole with you, and I'm looking for your love. It was no time of a problem yet. It's only when they returned and they related. I says, it's neat, Achi is not your brother, not Esav Rasha, but it's Esav the Rasha. Yaakov Mispal Gemen, so Yaakov Davin, Hatzileni no Goimer. And then he sent him the gift. Perhaps he's going to be able to appease him. Test. Why does Rashi have to specify, say, three things? Just tell you the things. Prepared themselves for the gift. Like the Gemara asks, the Gemara asks, why do we need a number? Just count it, you'll see. Why do we have to know that it was three things? Explanation. And also after the angels, let Yaakov know as nit achihu, that he's not my brother, he's still acting like with you, like the evil Esav, he still hates you. Is by Yaakov given drei Möglichkeiten mit was achas. Yaakov had three possibilities all at the same time. Yaakov had all three things at the same time. It's not the Esav. From Esav's perspective, his Efshem must speak to Shikanim. Maybe it's enough to send him a doiran, maybe a gift. When they meet him a fire, that would appease him. This is moving given by Yaakov. This was understood by Yaakov. And then was Rivka tam geschickt. She sent to him as a Zechum Kerek Eretz Yisrael. She go back to Eretz Yisrael. Why would she send him to come back? Since the evil Esav is still in his hatred, so how did she send him back to come back, return? So this itself is evidence, proofs. As Esav is a denabisinoso, even though Esav is still with his hatred. That anger, a special anger of Esav, that he ran away from that is no longer there. And there wasn't the danger anymore. Why should I lose you both? As Rivka said in the very beginning when she sent them, lose you both in 1 day. And therefore that hatred you can remove. You can send them a gift. It's sad, Yaakov Ober, but from Yaakov's perspective, He was worried, maybe I would got dirty with a sin. So then could be his hatred is still his genug of zayin amatzav fusakona. That's enough to be in a danger. Similarly, you find by Loit as the hate from Shivos Bisdoin, that for Shivos Bisdoin, the fact that he was settled in Sdoin, that brought him to taking him. So he also needed Yaakov needed that special thing because it was enough of a dangerous place, because over there you also find just by being there. About the pools hatzola shadei tefillah can zayin of tzvei. It could be two ways. The Eibishter the matzel given from Lavan. The way the Eibishter called him Lavan Elikei of Avram, Pachad Yitzchak Hoyle Goymer Vayochech Chemesh, which Hashem proved yesterday, where Hashem protected him from Lavan, which is the Eibishter took care of it. So before Lavan can do anything, the Eibishter got involved and told Lavan not to do anything. And Beizat Solo was that you might need war. Vidat Solo from Loit, as by Loit, over there was war. In Surat, we needed to have a war in order to save him. That's why he needed to prepare himself also to the Milchama. So that's why we have. He has the tefillah taket, the doiren, and the tefillah, and also the Milchama. Yud al yenush al Torah shevirish Rashi yesh loimer. So based on yenush al Torah and Rashi, we can say that he got himself ready and all things together. And this is their diuk. This is also getting ready himself for three things. In order to be prepared to do all things together, that goes against nature. That's what you need to sort of prepare yourself. You have to correct yourself. You have to change yourself. Each one of these three matters that nu hafchis is something different, opposite to the other. From the zweiten and the other one. A gift is a movement from closeness and kindness. Milchama, a war, is distance and strength. That's between people. Tefillah is that's asking mercy from above. In order to be able to stand in these three various opposite motions and movements together, that's not in the nature of person. Even not in the nature of kedusha. Every measure is in a separate movement and shape. Not as an Indian from his you got to fix yourself. Change your nature. So, that itself needs a reason. Why was it necessary for him to be in all things at once? Understand the correct explanation of Chassidus of the Pasuk. When he came and met her at the well, all the Adorim gathered together. Based on a example and a parable from a physical war. How do you save yourself from work? By standing away. All of your three camps against one camp and one portion of the enemy. Then for sure you can overpower him. Then you choose to the second. You put all your forces against each one separately, against the second camp of the Zayin. Now that says in Avedis Hashem, same thing in the service of Hashem. In order to win be victorious in the war against the Yetzer, you have to arouse and wake up by yourself all three measures of Kedusha. Ava, love, Yira, fear, Rachamim, and compassion. Lumas midach as a klippa. They should all fight one measure of klippa. By the zebevada yapile. That way you will certainly cause them to fall. You'll conquer it. You'll be victorious over that klippa. all of the Adorim gathered. Shehem, Abba v'yiru Rachmanos v'kedusha, which is love and fear, Rachmanos v'kedusha. Kshem midos is milchemes hayetze b'yed nidin b'frat. Just as it's in the war of the Yetz by every Yid individually. Similar to the Avodah of Yid in general in Golus. In Golus and Kama clothing, there's several general categories. Golus Yishmael, the exile of Yishmael when we're in the exile of Golus Edom, which is Esau, the exile of Edom. There's two Golus. Each one has its own specific way. Avodah Masima, Masim, which fits Loif Golus. Yishmael is Chesed the Klippa, that's Chesed of Klippa. Esau is Gvurah the Klippa. So how is the definite way to overcome? So that you can be victorious and you switch over to transformation. Golus. We need to collect all the midas together. Since what gives the strength for Yidden of the service, similar bonim, takes from the act of our fathers. So this is why Yaakov and the chosenness of the fathers, the scholars from Alagim Midas in the Beit Sukim from Golus, the inclusion for all these three measures in both categories of Golus. Yaakov had all three Midas in both of these categories of Golus. Alagdom to Zayin in Beis Lavan as an introduction to being in Lavan's house, but Sifabun with Golus Babel, which is connected to the exile of Golus and Babel. All the Adorim gathered together. Now, derech in the Avodah from Bidur from Esav. When you want to overcome Esav, Golus Eder. As is given his kinats from the Shlosh Dvarim to fight Esav. B'yachad the drei Kabim from Chesed Doiren, Gevura Milchama, and Tiferes V'rach mit Tefillah. With base from Kol Nazoich the Eroi the Avodah for Yad Nidden also teaches us the lesson of Yidden, Mrs. Medafer Atven, Yiddish and Kinder, when you need to save Jewish children. From the style of education of Esav, cannot be satisfied with an eigenem teva with your own nature, as you're used to in Aveidas Hashem, the service of Hashem. Nor es darf sein, hiskin atzma, you must prepare yourself to prepare yourself and change over. When you go with a consideration, when you go with logical, when it only fits a certain specific service against you can be sure that you will be able to take care and be victorious. Be an element to mainly save everybody. But you have to save me. Only you go without any consideration. You go against his will. With all your efforts together, you prepare yourself. You succeed as Menemtain Esav. You conquer Esav. Until you the promise is fulfilled. They will be saved going up to the Mount Sin to judge Mount Esav Edom Vayishalch Mamlucha and the kingdom with Hashem B'Bis Mashiach Tzidkenu with coming of a righteous Mashiach may remain a mamash very speed nowadays. Sicha Shabbos Parsha Vayishalch Tovshin Lamed.